Hey guys, so I'm going to be doing a hair adventure today. I was inspired by Stella Cini's Emerald Green, and I really want to try that with my hair. So I'm going to try to do that, and you guys can come along and join me for the fun adventure that awaits. See how it turns out. Backstory, I am 80% albino, so my hair is naturally very light. It's normally about a 10. I have been dyeing it about to an 8 or 9. So I do have a little bit of color in it, but it has faded out, as you can see, but there's still a little bit of banding that you can see from my natural color to the dyed color. So we'll see how this goes, and I'll bring you guys along for the adventure, and we'll see how it
Okay,
turns
so
out.
here we are
Pass or
getting the
fail. Here
supplies
we go.
ready. I did go with Arctic Fox Phantom Green and the Aquamarine. It does seem like it is the best mix used to get this emerald green color that I'm going for. And trying to get the dye out. I'm having some trouble. Realize I forgot to take off the white sealers. I think that's kind of important if you want your dye to come out of the bottle. So now that I've got that removed off of the blue, I'm going to put a little bit into the container. I don't want it to be more turquoise. I want it to be more green. So I went with probably about a quarter of it being aquamarine and 3/4 of it being this phantom green. It seemed to be a pretty good mix using a little bit less blue. We'll see how that goes with my hair. We might end up having to change the recipe next time, but we'll start with that. And try again the smell. It's not too bad. And you might notice I am getting pretty close when I'm mixing and stirring, and it's because I am legally blind, so it makes it a little harder for me to see things. I have to get really close, especially when I'm not wearing my glasses. So that being said, I am going to be doing a lot of this by feel, and we'll see how that goes. Hopefully I'll be able to feel the stuff in the back and see enough to be able to coat everything well. And looking at the amount that I have in here, I don't have a lot of length to my hair. My hair is pretty fine, so it doesn't seem like I'm going to need a whole lot. So I'm going to do a color swatch just to see. Yeah, that looks like a pretty good representation of the color I'm going for. So we're going to go with that and hope that I mixed up enough paint for the shorter hair length that I have. And of course, got to make sure we get the gloves on. I did get just regular disposable gloves this time. In the future, I may go with a reusable, higher quality gloves. It is important to make sure you get gloves that fit you. If you get a one size fits all or gloves that are too large, it's going to be really kind of hard to navigate the hair dye around the gloves. Now, I do have all my jewelry removed, wearing a shirt I don't particularly care about. I got my dye mixed. Take a deep breath and get ready. And I'm remembering that I do need to section off my hair, so I don't have a lot at the bottom, so I'm going to section off the top and just kind of work my way around the bottom. And then I'll go around the top as well and section off that way. With my hair being short, it just seems like that would be the easiest way to section it off. All right, and I was going to avoid starting right off with the roots, but I kind of forgot, and I figure this is a semi-permanent. It's not demi, it's not a full, so maybe it's not as impactful. So we're just going to go with it. And trying to make sure that I work in as much as possible. My hair does seem to be really soaking it up, so it feels like it's still really dry. I'm trying to make sure I lather it up really well, make sure that it's fully saturated. But it's hard to tell with the gloves how saturated it actually is. I'm also pretty new to using a brush. Before this, I've always done box dyes. So this is a bit new to me to use a brush. I was going to try X Mondo color, but unfortunately they were sold out of the colors that I was looking for. So I decided to try Arctic Fox first. So I'm sorry, Brad Mondo. I tried. I did try to go with X Mondo, but they were sold out. So we figured we'll try Arctic Fox this time, and maybe when I'm ready to restock, maybe I will try some X Mondo color. Maybe in the pinks and purples, we'll see. So here I am trying to make sure that I go evenly around the front. I don't want one side to sit longer than the other while I'm working my way around. So I'm trying to, again, make sure it's all fully saturated, working my way now around the back. Meanwhile, I'm sitting here looking at this beautiful blonde hair, wondering what the hell am I doing? Because this is a really pretty shade of blonde, and I'm lucky enough to have this as my natural color. Most people pay a lot of money to get this color, and I'm lucky enough to have it naturally. So here I am questioning myself, but as you can see, it didn't stop me. So I can always go back to the natural color. Meanwhile, I'm trying to make sure that I get the underside and top side of each section that I'm grabbing. On the back, I feel like I'm just kind of slathering it all over the back of my neck. But that was the only way for me to feel like I was really getting the underside. Now I'm going to go in and try to do the top layers. And as I'm working around the top, I want to make sure that each section is saturated top to bottom. So I'm going to start with the right side of my head, getting the roots, and then trying to work it through the section. As you can see, it seems like it's just sliding right over my hair. It almost feels like my hair is just soaking it up so much that you can't even really see it. So I do have to keep putting a lot more on and a lot more on. I end up using a lot more than I thought I would. I don't know if it's just because it's a semi and that's how they work, or if it's because maybe my hair was a little dry and needing some nutrients and just soaked it right up. I'm not sure. After I use it a few times, I'll start to get an idea of what my regular is and if that's normal for me or not, and maybe I'll have a better idea. The other thing I wanted to mention while I'm doing this is, you'll see in the title I did mention that this is, an albino hair coloring. I mentioned it in the intro, but I just wanted to clarify a little bit on that while we are here and working on my hair and waiting for all this application. I figured I would also just jump in and say that albinism is a recessive gene, so both parents have to carry the gene in order for them to have a chance of having an albino child. And I happen to be one of the lucky ones that got the correct lineup of genetics. So that's why my hair is very blonde, my skin is very pale, my eyebrows look practically non-existent. I do have 20% pigmentation, which is just enough to have blue eyes, which is why my eyes aren't pink like a lot of people associate with albinism. It is common for people who have albinism to also have poor vision. It's very common. They say there isn't a direct cause, but there is a very strong correlation. So most people who have any sort of albinism, whether it's 100% or less, they do typically have vision issues attributed with their albinism. I did notice that I'm getting low on my dye, so I wanted to do the other front side. So if I did have to mix up a new batch, it'd be in the back and it wouldn't be front and left side of my face where it would draw more attention. So I decided to use what dye I had left to work on my left side along my face, and figured then I would mix up some more And actually, I ran out before I even finished that side. But at least I got the top part of my hair. So I'm going to remove one of my gloves and try to mix up another batch as closely of a match as I can. And I'll apply that to the back and probably a little bit in the front too, just to try to tie it all together. Maybe make it less noticeable if there is a difference. So don't mind me while I get that second batch mixed up. Okay, now comes the fun part. I took my glove off inside out so I wouldn't get dye all over the place. And now I need to try to put it back on my fingers, and back on my hand with the fingers flipped inside out. So that's a fun little adventure. Latex gloves are not necessarily fun to take off and then put back on inside out. So there we go. Looks like making progress. All right, and back at it. So looking at this, it looks like I did a pretty good job of matching it from what I can see. My gloves are quite blue, so I was hoping that that would mean I'd also have a decent bit of blue coming through in my color. So we'll see how that works out. I do know that the Phantom Green is supposed to fade out to the bluer tones, so even if it's not quite as blue as I want in the get-go, it might be more after a couple of washes. So if it doesn't quite turn out as blue as I want it to be for my emerald tone, then I'll probably wait a couple washings and do a second final picture to show you what it's like after it's had a chance to fade a bit. Maybe then it'll be more the color that I'm looking for if it's not initially. So now I'm going to try to work on the back, and this part was especially hard because I have a hard time seeing in the back, and I know a lot of people do. I'm not the only one. Obviously, we don't actually have eyes in the back of our head, but with my vision, it's hard for me to use mirrors and such as well to be able to see back there. So I'm really hoping that I get it all. And I know the back corners tend to be really difficult for me to get, so I make sure that in those corners I am applying a lot of extra. I'm using my hands a lot to help run it through and work it through. Moving my hair every which way to try to make sure I'm getting all the spots. Definitely going to take me some time to get used to using these brushes. It is a bit of a skill set. It takes a little bit of time working with them to figure out the best way to hold them, the best way to use them to do what you needed them to do. It takes a little bit to learn how to use that as a tool. So maybe I'll get better as time goes on. I do think I'm going to continue to use these semi-permanents rather than going back to boxed color. I do like how vibrant they are. I do like the looks that you can get with these semi-permanents, and I do like that they wash out in a relatively quick manner. So as I'm getting bored and tired, or I need a change, or my life is stressful and I need hair color therapy, it'll be a lot easier to do with these semi-permanents. So Maybe I'll try some demis. We'll see how they work out. But yeah, I think I'm going to stick with some of these more temporary colors. And I think, yep, I got my comb. I'm going to use the wider side of the tooth, the wider side of the comb, the wider tooth section. I'm trying to, just to kind of work the dye through all the spots. In case there's any sections that I missed, maybe it'll help bring some dye to those areas. I am having some difficulty brushing through, so I'm hoping that that means that I'm still getting it. It's usually, if my hair is difficult to brush through, that's usually how I end up missing spots. It feels like it's not saturated enough. So I'm hoping that I did saturate it enough. Normally, if it's more saturated, I feel like it would have been a little bit easier to comb. So that does make me a little bit nervous. Looking at this video, I'm seeing a couple lighter spots that I didn't notice in the moment. So in the future, I may go back and review these before I put the processing cap on, just to help me miss some of the spots that maybe I don't see. So that's one lesson learned here. Maybe I will review these more directly to see how I did while I'm getting ready to put the processing cap on, which is actually what I'm trying to do right now. This processing cap is in a package that does not want to be opened. My hands are still a little bit wet, but of course I don't want to leave the bathroom to go get a pair of scissors. So I'm just going to make do. I'm just going to brute force it and see if I can get into that bag. It was a package of 3, so that's good. So even when I use one, I'll have a couple more dyings in before I have to go buy more, so that's always nice. Yay, and success. I got in there. All right, so got the processing cap. And we've got to make sure we get everything tucked up in there. This will give it a chance to work, build up a little bit of heat in there to activate the color a little bit better, help it to fully absorb, while also keeping my stuff protected. So I have this sitting in my hair, just waiting. I'm gonna leave it in for an hour, rinse it out, so about a half hour left. And I am so freaking nervous because it wasn't coming through very easily. I think some of that is damage in my hair, but also it makes me wonder if I wasn't saturating enough, even though I was trying really hard to make sure it was fully saturated. I'm worried that maybe I wasn't saturating it enough because it was really hard to comb through. And I'm really just hoping that I got it all. And we'll see how I did. I am legally blind, so I had to do a lot of it by feel. The hard part is when you're wearing gloves, it's really hard to feel what you're doing. So I'm nervous, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. And not much longer left. So when my time's up, I'm going to rinse it out, and I will do a quick video of what it looks like wet, and then I will style it, dry it, and do a final reveal. So we shall see how good emerald color comes out on albino hair. I mean, the color looks good through the bag, right? And here is the wet seaweed hair. Yay, seaweed look. Well, guys, here we go. Honestly, it looks like I got everything. I'm pretty proud of that. I'm really glad that it managed to cover literally everything in my hair. It feels good. The only thing that I have is that my hair still is a bit of a yellowish green. It's not as blue green as I was hoping. We'll see what it's like in sunlight. Maybe it'll bring out more of the blue. But I'm thinking that because my hair was so yellow, the blue kind of canceled and it left behind just the green. Maybe next time I'll do a little bit more of the aquamarine. And we'll see if that brings out more of the blue next time. It's not bad. It just looks like more of a Kelly green, like St. Patrick's Day. This would be perfect for St. Patrick's Day, but I'm looking for more emerald. So next time maybe I'll do just a bit more aquamarine. I'm not sure if I can just put blue right over top of this and have it turn out the way I want it, or if it's just going to override the green that's here. I don't know if I want to try that. Honestly, I think I'll just wait till this fades out and try again, or maybe I'll add some other colors next time and see how that turns out. I'm undecided yet on what I'm doing next. I do want to work on a lavender at some point, and because I did get Purple Rain, Aquamarine, and the Phantom Green, I might do a Galaxy. We'll see. But I do like it. I wish I had more of the blue. And other than that, yeah, it's not bad. It's doable. It is doable. I do think that it shows my hairline a little bit far up, a little further up than I'd like. But that could also be just the way that I curled my bangs because I was in a hurry. But let me know what you guys think. Albino hair. I am 80% albino. My hair is naturally a 10. Straight Arctic Fox Phantom Green with Aquamarine. This is how it turned out. Let me know what you guys think down below. And if you guys have any suggestions, any other colors you want us to try, any questions about dyeing with albinism. Obviously, I'm not an expert. I'm not a hairdresser. I have albinism myself, and I've been dealing with dyeing my hair since 16 to 18 is when I really kind of started to really kind of dye my hair more. So anyway, let me know what you think.